Supermarket shelves shake as magnitude 5.8 earthquake strikes eastern Japan, including the Tokyo region. Three FIRs filed after a clash during a protest in Ranchi over Jharkhand High Court's stay on the cancellation of several recruitment examinations and appointments. Assam, Meghalaya hold joint meeting over Shillong violence, 15 FIRs registered. Special investigation team formed to probe incident. Honduras received 365 Mexican deportees from the U.S., 31 more expected to land in San Pedro Sula as part of the Donald Trump administration's policies to deter migration.
President Trump, he can't be trusted. Simple as that. He changes the deal. He keeps moving the goalpost.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says U.S. President Trump cannot be trusted moments after Prime Minister Carney and Canada would impose tariffs on U.S. imports in retaliation for President Trump's new 50% tariffs. Iran has warned countries against joining what it calls the United States' economic war against Tehran. And the warning comes as Washington pushes allies to help isolate Iran's economy while diplomatic efforts continue to ease tensions in the region. Iran's Supreme National Security Council Secretary Mohsen Rezaei issued the warning on Saturday. Speaking on state television, Rezaei told neighboring countries not to join the U.S. campaign, saying any country participating in economic restrictions against Iran would be considered an enemy. He warned that Iran would harm the interests of countries that refuse to distance themselves from Washington. Rezaei also said Iran had so far targeted only U.S. military bases and had not attacked American economic interests. But he warned that if Washington imposed further economic sanctions, Iran could strike U.S. oil and economic companies in the region and elsewhere. Now, President Donald Trump has meanwhile warned of severe economic consequences for countries providing what he called a lifeline to Iran. Washington has been pressing Iran's major trading partners to join the economic pressure campaign, but not all have agreed. While China has criticized the U.S. initiative, arguing that sanctions will not resolve the wider West Asia conflict. The United Arab Emirates, one of Iran's major trading partners, has announced this week that it was suspending trade and financial transactions with Iran until further notice. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, also accused the United States of putting regional allies at risk. In a post on X, Ghalibaf said Iran had received messages from neighboring countries about creating new regional security and economic arrangements. He called for a homegrown and independent regional order to deliver peace and stability. At the same time, diplomatic efforts are continuing. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelhadi spoke on phone with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Saturday, and the two discussed recent developments and efforts to create conditions for a return to diplomacy and de-escalation. Egypt stressed the importance of protecting international navigation and the security of the Gulf states. The talks come amid renewed tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. The situation is also having economic consequences for Iraq. Iraqi President Nazar Hamidi said Baghdad was discussing flexibility with Iran over oil exports through the Strait of Hormuz. He said some ships carrying Iraqi oil were being facilitated through the waterway. He also stressed that Iraq would not allow its territory to be used to target any state. Moving on to other news, at least 13 people have been killed after Russia and Ukraine exchanged strikes overnight. In the strikes come as French President Emmanuel Macron vowed to deliver new interceptor missiles to Ukraine. And Russian strikes have killed 7 in Ukraine, while 4 have been killed in Russia, and 2 others have been killed in Russia annexed Crimea following strikes by Kiev. In Ukraine, a Russian drone struck a railway station in Odessa. Now, visuals came that you can see on the screen that show workers clearing broken glass windows and debris strewn across the railway station. According to railway officials, no one has been killed in the attack and train services have not been disrupted. Now, following this, a Russian drone strike on a shopping center in Ukraine's Kryvyi killed 16 and injured at least 130 people. Authorities say that 4 people are still missing following the strike. Rescuers could be seen clearing the rubble as citizens recall the incident in the aftermath of the strikes.
I ran out into the parking lot. There were very loud screams and there was a lot of fire and smoke. After that, I went back to my workplace to grab my phone so I could tell my friend not to come to the complex with her child as they were due to arrive. And then there was a second explosion. There were a lot of casualties in the parking lot, a lot of blood, and the concrete slab in the parking lot was shattered.
Furthermore, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky called the attack absolutely cynical and despicable. Zelensky added that the Russian drone strike is a deliberate attempt to target emergency services. Amidst the attacks, France has promised to aid Ukraine with intercepted missiles. In a post on X, France's President Emmanuel Macron said that it is crucial to provide Ukraine with all the necessary means to defend its skies and thwart this aggression. On the other hand, 2 children have been killed while 2 others have been injured following a Ukrainian drone strike in southern Russia. Russian officials said that civilian infrastructure and residential buildings have come under a direct drone attack. Following this, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Ukrainian strikes will not turn the tide of the war. In an interview with Putin had said that Kiev has inflicted economic losses, but a turning point is yet to be reached in the conflict.
Of course, strikes on civilian, actually unprotected objects, and what is especially important, on civilians, cause economic damage to our country, lead to losses. But still, the end result for the enemy turned out to be the exact opposite of what was expected. Of course, no turning point in the confrontation with Russia could and did not happen. The Kiev regime and its masters cannot, have not, and never will receive any advantage.
And furthermore, the Russian president said that Ukraine has opened the Pandora's box with its strikes on the country's economic targets. Putin added that Russia will retaliate with attacks targeting Ukraine's most sensitive economic sectors.
The Kiev regime has set out to damage our economy. What has it done? It has opened Pandora's box itself. Well, get an answer about your Ukrainian most sensitive economic sectors, which frankly are already on their last legs.
All right, shifting our focus. Bangladesh is now weighing a possible expansion of its defense and strategic partnerships with the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement, drawing attention in Dhaka. The pact, signed by Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan on 7th of August, has been described as a purely defensive arrangement, but its collective defense clause has already led to comparisons with NATO's Article 5. Under the agreement, an armed attack on any one of the 3 countries would be treated as an attack on all 3. Pakistan has also indicated that the pact could eventually expand with defense cooperation, technology transfers and joint military exercises, as well as defense production at the core of the framework. And now Bangladesh appears to be looking at what such a partnership could offer. Dhaka has not formally decided to join the Mecca Pact, but Bangladesh's Foreign Affairs advisor said Dhaka has a positive approach towards a possible economic or defense framework involving the 3 countries in line with its Bangladesh First policy. For Dhaka, the calculation is not just about security. Saudi Arabia is a crucial source of remittances for Bangladesh, while greater Saudi investment could also offer economic opportunities. Defense ties are another factor. Turkey and Pakistan are already important military suppliers to Bangladesh, with cooperation spanning drones, naval platforms, armored vehicles, and other defense equipment. A closer framework could potentially mean more training, technology transfers, joint production, and access to military hardware. Energy security also matters. Bangladesh relies heavily on imported energy, with supplies from West Asia dependent on critical sea route, including the Red Sea and Bab al-Mandeb. For Dhaka, stronger ties with Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan could therefore have economic, energy, and maritime implications. But joining the pact would not be without risks. Bangladesh would have to manage its relations with India and China, two countries that remain central to Dhaka's strategic and economic calculations. And any closer defense alignment with Pakistan could trigger political pushback, given the historical memory of the 1971 War of Independence. And there's also a fundamental question mark over the Mecca Pact itself. Its exact operational mechanisms, membership criteria, and how the collective defense commitment would work in practice are still not entirely clear. India is proceeding with the legal process against Lashkar-e-Toiba founder Hafiz Saeed in connection with the 2025 Pahalgam terror attack. And the National Investigation Agency is preparing to have court summons served on Saeed in Lahore through diplomatic channels. According to NIA sources, the Ministry of External Affairs is expected to route the summons through Pakistan's Foreign Ministry. The move comes after a special NIA court in Jammu issued a non-bailable warrant against Saeed on 8th of July. And this following the agency's supplementary charge sheet naming him as an accused in the Pahalgam terror attack case. The NIA, in its supplementary charge sheet filed on 6th of July, identified Saeed as a key figure in the alleged conspiracy behind the 22nd of April 2025 attack. It has claimed that conspiracy was planned from Pakistan and has attributed a central role to Saeed. The Pahalgam attack killed 26 people, including 25 tourists and a local resident. Saeed is based in Pakistan. The NIA had told the court that securing his presence in India was not possible and sought the warrant as part of further legal proceedings. And the serving of summons is an important step in the legal process that could eventually pave the way for a trial in absentia against Saeed under Section 356 of the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. But Saeed cannot be tried in absentia simply for ignoring the summons. The move therefore affirms India's legal case against Saeed while formally establishing that he was given an opportunity to appear before the Indian court. A Panama-flagged cargo ship carrying 24 crew members has reportedly sunk in deep waters in the Bay of Bengal, roughly 200 to 240 nautical miles off the coast of Paradip port in Odisha. And the vessel originally departed the port, Odisha, on 20th of August. The cargo ship carrying iron ore was Singapore bound. Of 24 crew members on board, 20 were Chinese nationals, 3 Myanmar nationals, and 1 Bangladeshi national. Reports indicate that the crew members may be afloat in deep waters awaiting rescue. In response to the emergency, the Indian Coast Guard and the Indian Army have launched joint rescue and search operations coordinated through the Andaman and Nicobar unit. Coast Guard has confirmed that rescue teams are deployed to the area, while neighboring commercial and naval vessels in the vicinity have been all alerted to assist in locating survivors. Official confirmation regarding the vessel's complete status and the condition of the crew remains pending as rescue efforts continue. Now, the war of words between the Congress and the BJP over the national song is far from over. And now the BJP has decided to up the ante even further by passing a resolution against Congress citing none other than Mahatma Gandhi. The Bharatiya Janata Party earlier today passed a major resolution for what it terms is an effort to protect the honor and legacy of Vande Mataram. The party plans to launch a massive nationwide campaign to raise awareness around the history and significance of the national song. The BJP passed a 10-point resolution opposing the Congress decision, the signing of Vande Mataram to its first two stanzas at party programs as per its own 1937 resolution. And the party intends to make Mahatma Gandhi's description of Vande Bharat as an anti-imperialistic war cry, the fulcrum of its nationwide campaign.
वंदे मातरम गाना हर भारतीय के लिए गौरव का विषय है.
Singing Vande Mataram is a pride for every Indian, but Congress wants to take it back to 1930. That decade signified of Muslim League blackmailing India.
वो दशक मुस्लिम लीग के भारत को ब्लैकमेल करने के दशकों के समय से जाना जाता है.
The key aspects of BJP's resolution focus on strong condemnation of Congress reaffirming its 1937 resolution to reaffirm the constitutional and statutory status of Vande Bharat as decided by Constituent Assembly in 1950 and reaffirmed by the 2026 parliamentary amendment, to remind Congress that its own resolutions cannot override the laws of India, to reject attempts to subordinate national song to communal pressures, and to highlight Mahatma Gandhi's own testimony, where he described the song as an anti-imperialist war cry and symbol of purest national spirit. BJP workers will be undertaking a special awareness drive, especially among the youth, to ensure that the larger literary meaning beyond the religious context is passed on to future generations. While Congress MP Shashi Tharoor maintains that Congress has been playing one stanza of the national anthem and two verses of the Vande Mataram since 1937.
No, I think the position is very clear that the Congress is following the existing practice when it comes to Congress party functions. I think if there is a national or government function, we will all stand up for the entire thing. It depends on what is being played. But at our party, our position is that since 1937 we've been playing only one stanza of Jana Gana Mana and two verses of Vande Mataram, and that will remain our existing position.
The United States is planning to pay $725 million towards its debt to the United Nations, a move that could provide some much-needed breathing room to an organization facing a severe cash crunch. But here's the bigger picture. The U.S. still owes the UN several billion dollars. The UN says Washington is behind by more than $4 billion, while latest reporting puts the overall figure at around $5 billion, including regular UN operations and peacekeeping. United States is the UN's biggest financial contributor, but it has fallen billions of dollars behind on its assessed contributions. The latest figures put the U.S. debt at roughly $5 billion. Of that, about $2 billion is owed towards the UN's regular budget, the money that keeps the organization's core operations running. Another roughly $3 billion is owed for peacekeeping operations around the world. The UN's own May breakdown was slightly lower, $2.04 billion for the regular budget, $2.2 billion for peacekeeping, and $44 million for UN tribunals, totaling more than $4.28 billion. Washington disputes the UN's overall calculation and says the amount it actually owes is lower. And now the Trump administration plans to transfer $725 million towards the regular UN budget. And there is another $125 million earmarked for peacekeeping in Haiti and the Democratic Republic of Congo, taking the broader announced package of $850 million. But this is not a bailout. Even if the full $850 million is paid, billions would still remain outstanding. So why does $725 million matter? Well, because the UN's immediate problem is cash, not just its accounting balance. The organization entered 2026 with no cash reserve, and unpaid contributions from member states have created a serious liquidity crisis. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned of imminent financial collapse. A large payment from Washington can therefore help the UN pay staff salaries, keep core operations running, and avoid or delay even deeper spending cuts. One UN finance expert described the effect as essentially keeping the organization afloat a little longer. But the UN is already cutting back. Its 2026 budget has been reduced by 9.2%, and more than 2,000 jobs have been moved away from expensive cities such as New York and Geneva as part of its UN 80 reform and cost-cutting drive. The proposed U.S. payment would provide critical short-term cash and could help the UN avoid more immediate disruption. But with billions still outstanding and other member states also behind on their payments, it does not solve the UN's financial crisis. For the UN, the question now is not simply how much money it owed, but how quickly that money actually reaches its accounts. Now, Joe Root is chasing Sachin Tendulkar in the record books, and he's doing it one milestone at a time. The England Test captain has now matched Tendulkar's record for most Test half-centuries. If there was any doubt that Joe Root belongs among Test cricket's all-time greats, he is rapidly removing it. On day 2 of England's first Test against Pakistan at Headingley, Root brought up his 68th Test half-century, a number that put him alongside just one man at the top of that particular list, the great Sachin Tendulkar. Root was eventually dismissed for 66 runs, but by then the record books has already taken notice. On the top table, Root is followed by West Indies great lefty Shivnani Chanderpaul with 66 half-centuries. Another Indian great stands shoulder in the table, the wall, Rahul Dravid, with 63 half-centuries in his name in Test. But there's more to Root's numbers than just half-centuries. That knock was his 109th score of 50 or more in Test cricket. Only Tendulkar has more with 119. And then just a day later, Root added another record to his collection. Pakistan opener Azan Awais edged one. Root held on, and that catch was numbered 219, enough to take him past Australia's Steve Smith. So in the space of 2 days, Joe Root has matched a Sachin Tendulkar record and broken a Steve Smith record as well. Well, not bad for a week's work. And he isn't done yet. Root's 109 50-plus scores leave him just 10 short of Tendulkar's 119. Meanwhile, England have taken control of the Test match itself after Pakistan were bowled out for just 171. England responded strongly with Root, Harry Brook and Jordan Cox all getting to 50. And by the end of day 2, England had built a commanding 195-run lead. For Joe Root, it's becoming a familiar story. Score runs and climb another step up cricket's all-time record books. But with Sachin Tendulkar's numbers now firmly in his sights, the question isn't whether Root will break more records, it's which one falls next. All right, with that, we call a wrap to World Dinner for today. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION The World is Fun. So stay tuned.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dugout. In the last 12 months, India's defense technology has taken some big steps forward. INS Mahendragiri is bringing stealth, sensors and networked systems to the sea. Rustam is giving the forces an unmanned eye that can stay aloft for hours. And INS Malwan is designed to hunt submarines in shallow coastal waters. How do you stop a swarm of drones? That is where Bhargavastra comes in. India's indigenous counter-drone system is designed to detect and deal with unmanned aerial threats, including multiple drones approaching a protected area. But the threat is not always in the sky. Out at sea.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Adya Chunecha. Let's start with the headlines we are tracking for you at this hour. US President Donald Trump tells his voter base he expects he will be impeached if the Republicans lose control of Congress in November's midterm election. Iran Security Chief Mohsen Rezaei warns Tehran would retaliate forcefully against any further US action, cautions neighbouring countries against supporting Washington's economic campaign. Hundreds of Israelis join anti-government rally in Tel Aviv as October elections approach. Protesters display effigy of Prime Minister Netanyahu behind